I like walking, and like many people who want to live fit and healthy lives, I aim for 10,000 steps a day. But why 10,000 steps? Is this a number based in science or completely arbitrary? Is there a better metric? That's what I'm going to be talking about today. 10,000 steps a day seems to be the default on many fitness trackers. It is for Fitbit, I think it was for my Garmin, on the pedometer app, on my Apple Watch, 10,000 steps was the starting point. And apparently 10,000 steps actually comes from a pedometer. That's where it all originated. The 10,000 steps a day target comes from a trade name pedometer sold in 1965 by a company in Japan. The device was called the Manpao Key, which translates to 10,000 steps meter. This was a marketing tool for the device and has seemed to have stuck across the world as the daily step target. And this wasn't the first time that advertising led to something like this. Have you heard that carrots help improve your vision? Well, this all comes from propaganda during World War II because the British government developed better radar. They were shooting down German planes at night, and they put out this idea that it was because of carrots. They actually put out advertisements that carrots improved your night vision. But unlike carrots, 10,000 steps a day actually has some scientific validity. Since the release of the Manpao Key pedometer, research has investigated the 10,000 steps a day target. The fact that some studies have shown that this step target improves heart health, mental health, even lowers diabetes risk, may to some extent explain why we have stuck with this arbitrary number. But while some research has shown that 10,000 steps a day is beneficial, a recent study from Harvard showed that 4,400 steps a day was enough to significantly decrease risk of death in women. This was compared to a baseline of only walking 2,700 steps a day, so not a very large increase. Going out of your way to walk a little bit more each day could possibly be enough. The more steps that people walked, the lower their risk of dying, but it leveled off around 7,500 steps a day. So more is not necessarily better. So should we be aiming for this 10,000 steps a day? While the World Health Organization recommends adults get at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity per week, or 75 minutes of vigorous physical activity, research has shown that even low intensity exercise can improve your health, though moderate intensity exercise improves it to a greater extent. This means your steps throughout the day can contribute to your 150 minutes of target activity. Activity can also mitigate the harms of sitting down for long periods of time. Research has shown that people who sit for 8 or more hours every day had a 59% increased risk of death compared to those sitting for less than 4 hours per day. The Mayo Clinic recommends breaking up the time you spend sitting each day with activity, and that's even if you are getting the recommended amount of daily activity. Too much sitting is bad for our health. Researchers found that people who did 60 to 75 minutes of moderate intensive activity were able to counteract the effects of sitting. So undertaking a brisk walk might be enough to undo a day full of sitting. Yet, a recent study found that people who sat for more than 13 and a half hours a day failed to reap some of the health benefits of an hour of exercise, since their overall activity was so low compared with the time that they spent sitting. A study from the University of Texas has shown that if you walk less than 5,000 steps a day, your body struggles to metabolize fat, and buildups of fat are related to cardiovascular disease and many other health conditions. And this is further supported by research that has shown that people who walk fewer than 4,000 steps are unable to reverse that decreased fat metabolism. And this may not be surprising, but the average American walks only 3,000 to 4,000 steps a day, which might partially explain why 36.5% of adults are obese and another 32.5% of American adults are overweight. Yet, I can also think of a few other reasons. So it seems that all this research indicates that 4,000 to 5,000 steps is the minimum that you should be aiming for. And then 7,500 would be a great goal for the mortality reducing benefits. Yet that 10,000 steps a day number isn't exactly essential for living a healthy life. But me personally, I'm still going to aim for 10,000 steps a day. I like walking. It's one of my favorite forms of physical activity, my favorite forms of transportation, allows me to clear my head, and works for me. And while the 10,000 steps a day target comes from an advertisement of the 1960s, science and common sense would agree that walking is good for you. So I encourage you to get out there and walk. But if you're gonna stick around and watch another YouTube video, how about you check out this one where I abandon sugar for 30 days, or this one where I talk about my 10,000 steps a day walking challenge. See you guys later. I'm going for a walk.